Okay, sorry about that, everybody. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, and I guess the computer crashed. Welcome back. This is Gloria Ponziano talking with Gloria, and in the studio with me again is Mike Labua from Elite Body Personal Training. Sorry about the difficulty. I'm not really quite sure where we got cut off at, but what
Yeah.
were we talking about? Oh, I know. We were
Yep.
talking about overtraining in the
Yes.
studio
Yep.
and why you can't go in there 3 hours. And then my question to you was, what about the mindset that we have for the weekend, taking the weekend off or
Right.
taking Saturday and Sunday and not training at all?
Yeah. That's difficult for a lot of people too, and
It's
me
difficult for
included. I
me.
yeah, me included. I like to do something every day, so you got to strategize what you're doing here. It's possible that you can, so you don't overlap and overtrain a muscle. And I train 6 days a week myself. And the seventh day, I like to run wind sprints outside, and I work on a heavy bag for more cardio, a lot of core, a lot of shoulder work as well too. And it's a different type of training than the weight training. So I have it set up where, for example, I just give my workout on Mondays. I do chest, which is a push type exercise. 40 minutes, I'm done. Next day, I go to back, which is the antagonist, just a fancy word for opposite while I'm doing the pull muscles. Because we talked about, remember, in the time for muscle repair recovery. So I am allowing my chest to repair recover as I'm working out again. So mentally, I'm okay because I'm training on doing back, but those push muscles are resting at that time. That's why we set it up where now you push, pull. And then leg day, Wednesday, I get some legs in with deadlift, which is a lot of lower back, a lot of quad, glute, traps, core, big time. Just deadlift on Wednesday. Then I come back to that push. Now, remember, the last time I pushed was Monday. So I got 48 hours in between, Tuesday, Wednesday off. Thursday, I'm back pushing again for shoulders. Then Friday, I hit the tricep and bicep directly. When I say direct, because you're using the triceps every time you push, whether it's a shoulder press, chest press, triceps are working secondary. If you're pulling with back, your biceps are working secondary as well. So if you're going to miss any muscle group during the week, let it be the triceps and biceps because they're getting hit with the big stuff anyhow. But then I hit them directly at the end of the week, and purposely, strategically, I have it at the end of the week because if you did tricep, bicep, say on a Monday, next day, all right, I'm going to come back and do chest. Your triceps are sore, and they're going to be used in a great deal with the chest press. So it's not a smart thing to do. So you break it up correctly, and then on that Sunday there, you throw in like some wind sprints and boxing. You're still doing something, but you're allowing those muscle groups to train to actually rest properly. You can take care of that where you're not actually taking days off.
Or you could, for those of us that don't have a bag to box with, you
Yeah.
can also just ride your bike,
Oh,
go for a
absolutely.
walk,
Just be
just
active.
something to be active.
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
said you wanted to say something about what did you call it?
Oh yeah.
Well, we were talking
Well,
about tricep.
yeah, we're
What
talking
did you
about
call it? Flapping in the wind or
yeah.
something?
Well, you always hear the gals especially too. When they wave and stop waving, their arms are still moving underneath the tricep going. So they want to come in and tighten up the triceps. Again, during assessment, we'll talk and said, okay, well, right away, as we talked about, we all know now that it's going to take your nutrition and cardio to tighten that up. Of course, you want to work those triceps to keep them strong, but the debunk thing there is by doing tricep press downs or doing a bunch of tricep exercises, it's going to just burn that fat away. Again, that's a myth. You cannot spot reduce. That's not going to happen, and that's very common because of a lot of the females are concerned with that.
Yeah, right. And why is it that for women, why is the tricep just seems to be the first thing that goes?
There's really no good reason for that. I mean,
Just something that's not really used that much.
correctly, it is not used as much.
When you're picking up your baby or you're
Yeah,
picking up your groceries, you're
right.
primarily
It's
using your
bicep. It's
biceps.
bicep. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Any type of tricep is a push away type of like an explosion. Football players, when I have football clients that I train, I do a lot more of explosion because it's all about separation. If you're going to take a block on you, let that guy get into you. The block, you're done. He's got the block on you. The running back runs where he wants to run. He's got you. It's all about separation, creating distance with your opponent in front of you. So the tricep chest is very important. I like to use dumbbells too because you may have as an offensive lineman a guy coming in here, but how your pressure, you got to use this guy here too, chip off on a block. Again, you're working unilaterally. So with the dumbbells, it's nice. Instead of you're not going to just bench press this guy, come over here and bench press the next guy. It's constantly moving here. So with the dumbbells, you can't. The left can't help out the right, and right can't help out the left, vice versa. So that's what's nice about using the dumbbells over a barbell.
What about supplementation as far as, well, I had a gentleman ask me yesterday, I sent me an email last night and asked about DHEA. which I know a lot about these hormones, but this is your show. You would address this to our gentlemen, especially first, because I know women want to know about the HEA and the benefits of it. Is this something that you supplement with? Is it something that you recommend for men over 40?
I do. It's funny you say that, and I've trained a lot of doctors now. And this is not like another whole topic that we can't talk about. It's funny. That are,
And
you
we're
see these
going to.
anti-aging clinics or doctors' offices are doing this stuff with their hormones, where they're changing the numbers when you're 50 years old. If you cover the age and you look at the sheets and you see the numbers, they're like 25 years old. Like DHE happens to be one of the hormones that they're using a lot of. I'm not against that at all. It's all about feeling good and getting better. But there's nothing in so many athletics. It's illegal, which is crazy. In some of the sports, but these are prescribed things that you get from the doctor. They're not nothing illegal about them. But we can go on and on about different hormones that they can.
Right. And I know neither one of us are medical doctors, and we're not prescribing anything. But it is a question that men ask, especially if, and I'll just kind of share some of the questions that have floated around over the years that are pretty typical of men. And that is if they're feeling weak or they're feeling, they just don't have that same amount of energy, same amount of muscle mass, and they think that it's always a testosterone issue, and it's not. And so trying to explain to them that sometimes it's the DHEA or something else that's going on in their body. And again, we're going to be careful not to prescribe because we don't want anybody thinking that we're coming across as medical practitioners. But do you want to address that a little bit as far as like the testosterone myth?
Sure.
Because I do believe that there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to testosterone in men.
Right. Well, the testosterone, naturally, it's your natural testosterone as you're younger, it's flowing through your body. That's where you grow fast, as you're training earlier ages, and then as you get older, it does decline with age. But what also keeps that natural testosterone level higher, though, is exercise. And a lot of these guys that are out there that don't do anything exercise, they're overweight. They work at a desk job. They come home, they sit on the couch, remote, and they're basically useless.
Right.
They don't want to do anything. If you look at their testosterone count, it's way low because they're not doing anything to help it. So then that's the thing. They'll rely on this too. Bottom line, you can take this, that you got to get up, you got to move, you got to work out. There's no easy pill. There was, I'll be out of a profession, what I'm doing here. And there's no magic pill that you just take and then, look great, feel great. You got to put the time into it. But the testosterone level does definitely decline as we get older. Again, exercising will help keep that up higher. But again, with this anti-aging one, that people that do have low testosterone levels would take that as a supplement, as well as working out and get some great results with it.
Right. But there are going to be some terrible negative side effects to that as well. I know women taking DHEA don't understand that often that DHEA will convert to testosterone.
Right.
And so now you got a woman with a little bit too much, and that's going to throw off everything else.
Right.
So you started to say something. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, in the testosterone, but back to that is, and the other problem with the guys taking it now, what happens is then you start building estrogen, like what women have, and the guys don't want to have that, and it doesn't look good on the body as well, too.
Man
So
boobs.
yeah, exactly.
Don't want no man boobs.
She said it. Exactly. It's called, the medical term is gyno, is what it's called, and then there's surgery that they have to remove that as well, which is crazy. I've seen it in the bodybuilding world as well, for people that are taking things that not under good tutelage, we'll put it that way, on that too. So that's something else. But back to the females too, is then they can find out too that their thyroid is not working at all. They're just shoveling crap against the tide. I'll say it that way. You're going nowhere fast, and you feel for these people. They're working, they're watching what they're eating, and they cannot lose the weight. And that's what it is. And if they get that thyroid corrected, you'll see that body fat melt right off. Because they have that work ethic, everything's there. But again, the thyroid's not working.
Right.
You find that happen a lot.
And that is really, as far as like supplementation, that I'm doing an experiment, not an experiment, but we're using me as a guinea pig sort of. And we'll be talking maybe next month about supplementation and the different things that you can do and this is under my doctor's, my doctor's care and my doctor's advice and things that I started implementing and seeing amazing positive results. So that's definitely something I'd like us to talk about
Sure.
maybe next
Absolutely.
month when you come back on,
Yep.
the importance of certain supplements that actually can help correct thyroid issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Stress is a huge, huge culprit in our
Mhm.
culture as Americans, and so much can be traced back to the amount of stress level that we're under. You can be working out like crazy, as Mike knew when he first started working with me. I was under a tremendous amount of stress, and I was still working out. And when I went to him, it wasn't until I started doing something about the stress. And sleep is so important
Mhm.
to help the body to recover, to restore itself, and that's something that a lot of Americans just don't get enough of.
Right.
And so it really isn't. I'm telling you, I work out with this man 30 minutes 3 times a week, and it's the most intense workout.
Mm.
It's just amazing.
Well, you get
So
out what you put in it. So I mean, you work hard. You work hard.
yeah, it was
So
really
that's
tough.
good.
What are some other things? Now, just before I turned my computer off to come here to the studio, I saw a headline aside from that we finally have a pope.
Right.
But there was a misnomer. They said they were basically debunking some exercises, and I didn't get to pull it up on the computer because I
Mhm.
didn't have time. But the
Okay.
first one was the bench press.
Okay.
They said that there's actually other exercises that are better for building the chest than
Mhm.
a bench press. Is
Mm.
that true?
I can see them saying that, as I kind of touched on it before earlier too. With functional training, that's which is big now. You want to do movements that you do so you can function in life better. And doing that bench press again in any type of sport where you're just using two hands, that explosion part, that power is important. But there's a lot of other things that, like, we're working with dumbbells and bands and things like that you can do to build a body and much safer.
Mm-hmm.
NFL, actually, they used to do way back when I was a young teenager, and I had my guys that I loved in the NFL, and who's the strongest NFL guy, to read about them, and they would do is just load on a lot of weight on the barbell for the bench press and look for a max weight just one time, one rep. You get some guys doing 500 pounds, and they did away with that, which makes a lot of sense here, because now what they're doing is measuring the athlete pound for pound as far as your
Ah,
strength. So they'll
okay.
put 225 on that bar, all right, and they said, okay, Mr. D-back, you're 180 pounds. How many times can you do that? Lineman, you're 280. Offensive lineman, you may be 380. It doesn't matter. If you're 180, 280, 380, what you weigh, how many times can you do that? Now, may get a guy at 280, push that maybe 10 reps. I'm going to even go high reps. Say 30 reps. You see some of these numbers, they're up there. And you get the guy that's lighter, and he does 20 reps. Well, right away, you're going to think, well, that guy did 30, so he's stronger. But he weighs 280. This guy weighs 180. It's a 100-pound difference. So when you do the formula, that guy at 180 is a heck of a lot stronger pound for pound. And now by
Wow.
reducing that weight and see how many you can get, not caring what your body weight is a much better tool to measure strength in an athlete.
Now, when you work with women, because you've been addressing a lot of male exercises and obviously a lot of athletes, and when I'm in the gym, I mean, obviously I see a really good mix of women.
Mhm.
It would be hard pressed to determine if you've got more female or
Mhm.
males. I mean,
Yeah.
because it really is.
Depending on the time of day,
Yeah,
you're right. Yep.
exactly. I mean,
Yep.
and that's good.
Yeah.
That says a lot. And address a little bit about and I know that we've done this before, but again, I think it's something that's grossly overlooked, and that is warming the muscle up
Yeah.
before they do any kind of an exercise. I see people running, and I don't run anymore
Right.
like I used to.
Yep.
And I'm really glad that I didn't, because I could see how I was breaking down my muscle.
Sure.
Because for
Yeah.
me, I was wanting to build muscle up. I
Mhm.
was wanting to build my thighs, and I was actually tearing them down with as much running as I was doing. But I see people stretching the wrong way. Do you want to
Right.
address that a little
Yeah.
bit as far as
Well,
how important it is?
incorrectly stretching, and also the timing is wrong as well too. You don't want to stretch a cold body, and especially clients that train at 5 in the morning. They're not up that long. If they got up maybe at 4:15 or so, they're up 45 minutes. They're coming in. You wake up, they're like the Tin Man. Everything's tight and all, and then they're going to go right to a stretch, into a cold muscle. You're just asking for problems. You're going to pull a muscle, injure
Gosh, you
yourself.
see that on
Yeah.
television and everything. I
Yeah,
don't
all the
care.
time.
On
Yeah.
movies, you
Yep.
always see the guy or the girl getting ready to run, and they're doing the
Yeah.
stretch, and
Yeah. no.
But you're saying even if you've got to do like jumping jacks or something, do anything to
Anything,
get the
yep, increase,
get the get the blood
flow.
pumping.
Yep, that's what
And
you want. You want the blood flow. Increase your body core temp as well too by warming up as well. So it's going to elevate your body temp. It's going to get that blood flow going. Therefore, your muscles are warm. So now you're stretching a warm muscle, a lot less risk of injury.
address the about weight training and having food in the stomach, and
Yeah.
not eating before you weight
Yeah,
train.
the timing part is right. Yeah. And it's funny. And every body, BODY, meaning body, works a little bit differently. But there's some basic principles, of course. So when you eat food and your body's got to digest food, it demands energy from the body. So if you're eating food and then as that energy is being demanded, and then you're going to work out, basically, half hour later, it's not finished digesting yet. Now you're asking for energy for the exercise. It's like a tug of war. The body doesn't know where it's going here. So you want to give it at least 45 minutes to an hour if you're going to eat. So you can be able to use that as well as fuel for your workout. So you don't want it too close. If you don't eat at all and you exert yourself, and you're depending on your dinner from the night before, you can only be able to go so far if you're really training intensely, and then you're going to just peter out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to run out of fuel and just crash. So that's why it's very important, or you maybe even eat something light, because I say everybody's different. If they eat a normal meal, they're still feeling sick, an hour's not good enough, then he might be an hour and a half or two. So you got to find what works for you. It's not just everybody an hour. You might 45 minutes, you might be good. But you don't want to eat a huge meal either, because it takes longer to digest. So you got to kind of play with that, but you don't want to push weights, and especially if you're looking to get stronger, where you're going to have to increase poundage and you're on an empty stomach. It's just not going to work. And if the meal's too close to your workout, you're going to feel that wanting to come back up again as well too. It's going to affect your workout. So that's not working either. So you got to find that happy medium.
Okay. So basically, do have something in your stomach before you do a good workout,
Right.
Weight training, but just make sure you allow plenty of time. And every person is different. So I know with me, when I come to you, I have to have an hour in between.
Right. There you go.
I have oatmeal and protein, and if I work out with you and run a little bit short in time, and I've only done 45 minutes, I feel it, don't I? I mean, I'm
absolutely.
like, it's coming up. I got to sit up.
I see it. Yeah, exactly. Not fun.
No,
but
it's not.
now that's as far as weight training. Now it's very effective on an empty stomach for cardio, but it's upon waking up. So if you had to say a treadmill at home, you're going to wake up, brush your teeth, throw a t-shirt, some shorts on, and go. Don't dilly-dally. If you're going to take the kids to school and all 2-3 hours pass and then go do your cardio, well, then you defeated the purpose there. You might as well just get something to eat light then, because you're up now too long. Let's say you slept 7-8 hours. There goes another 2 hours, 10 or 11 hours, no nutrition. Well, then it's going to just kind of shoot you in the foot there. So you want, if it's going to be on an empty stomach, which is very beneficial, that's how I like to do my cardio, especially when I got ready for shows. It's first thing in the morning, but I'm rolling out of bed and getting on that treadmill. Again, as we talked about the warm-up, where you're walking for 5 minutes, you increase the speed a little bit, so it's a gradual warm-up, and then I'm going to hit those sprints. But I'm not going to come right out and do sprints, because it'll just defeat what we just said. You got to warm up that body, but it's basically waking up and getting right into it. Don't waste any time in between, because then again it defeats the purpose.
All right. What about as far as the when you talk about the nutrition? I've been asked this a couple of times, and I think it's probably worth mentioning here. How much protein should a person have in their diet? Isn't you want to address poundage and
with grams wise and all? As far as protein goes, if you're an athlete or active, naturally your protein level is gonna be a little higher. So the rule is 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Okay, so if you're 200 pounds and it's 1.5, you're gonna have 300 grams of protein throughout the day, but you need to spread it out, not just all in one meal.
That's
of course,
somebody that's active.
Yeah, that's active. If not active, you can go to a gram. So you're cutting back a little bit. That's not as active. But I mean, protein's got a role. Of course, it's going to build muscle, your hair, skin. There's a lot of benefits to having protein in your diet. Of course, you have to have it.
We have to address vegans who work out and the amount of protein and how they can get their protein in, because there are a lot of people out there that have turn to a vegetarian diet.
Mhm.
And we're not saying anything about that at all,
Mhm.
as far as like, that's a personal choice. But
Right.
what are some of the ways that if they are working out, doing 3 days of weight training,
Mhm.
how do they get enough of their protein demands met?
A lot of greens.
A lot of
Your
greens.
fibrous carbs because they're carbohydrates, but there's some proteins in there as well that you can get and still be vegan. So
Mm-hmm.
you can eat those greens, the lettuce. When I say lettuce, leafy things. And iceberg lettuce is just water, which isn't a bad thing for the body.
Mm-hmm.
Water is probably the best thing for the body. But as far as nutrients, you're not going to get much from the iceberg. You're better off with spinach, a spinach leaf as well, or even romaine. But spinach is probably your top dog there as far as that goes. And then of course, your egg whites, things like that,
Yeah.
that you're allowed to eat. Some people, they count that as dairy and they don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
dairy. Well, then they're really limiting themselves as far as protein goes. So, like I said, the leafy greens is huge for that. Of course, naturally the meat's gone, and I keep meat at a real minimum. But poultry and fish, but I've had some too that they maybe have that once a week,
Mm-hmm.
some fish, but otherwise they're getting it through beans. Which is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing I can say about beans, if you put me on an island for a month and said, here, what you got one food choice to pick right now, I say, give me a case of beans
Yeah.
and a can opener.
Yeah.
So I can get to those
Yeah.
beans.
That's a
And
great staple to have
yeah,
too.
and it's because you got carbohydrates in your beans, say black beans, for example, your protein's there, and you got fiber as well. It's nutrient dense. I mean, it's just huge. I just eat, I had it, with a spoon and just eat those beans throughout to try to preserve the muscle that I do have. So,
Mm-hmm.
to keep it and try to stay what we called before. I didn't use it this term, but you want to stay in what it called an anabolic state, which is muscle building, as opposed to catabolic, which is muscle breakdown. And if you starve yourself, you let 6-7 hours go between meals, you're putting your body in a catabolic state, which is muscle breakdown. Because if you don't feed it, it's got to get nutrients from somewhere, and it goes to your lean tissue. And that's why you will get lighter by doing it, because it's taken from muscle. Muscle is weight. You take that
Mm-hmm.
muscle away, you're going to get on the scale, you're lighter, but you're not any more fit. So you want to stay in that anabolic state. And I choose the beans because it
Yeah.
can keep you there because it's so nutrient dense.
Now, you did mention fiber, and this is a really important thing when it comes to whether or not you're trying to lose weight. Fiber is a very, very important thing to have in your diet, and that's something that's grossly overlooked in this country. I know from the work that I've done with the hormones and dealing with women and their diets. And it's, I don't know who else would talk about it, and I don't have any problem talking about it. I
Mhm.
mean, there's nothing that really embarrasses me, but if you are not having a bowel movement
Mhm.
once or twice a day, you're in serious trouble. And not only are your hormones going to be thrown off, but you're not going to lose the kind of weight,
Right.
obviously, that you want to. But it's so crucial to keep everything in the body moving,
Mhm.
because no matter how much time you're spending in a gym, and no matter how much you think that you're eating a clean diet, if you are not getting enough fiber and you're pushing the food and keeping everything in the system going, you're unhealthy. I mean, why do you think when you go to a doctor, they have you lay on the table and they do that little tap thing? Because they're listening for a certain sound that tells them whether or not everything in your system is moving. And if it's a solid sound, then something's not moving. So diet, as far as your nutrition, fiber is a very, very
Very
good thing for
important. Yeah.
them
For
to make.
elimination. Right.
Yeah.
You need to have the plumbing's got to have to work.
Right.
And, you
Right.
don't want any stop. You have a stoppage in plumbing. What do? Okay, you got to fix it, and then that's what you're talking about with the fiber. That's how we fix it in our bodies. So you can eliminate and keep that moving going. So the body doesn't become contaminated.
Right.
You're polluting your
Highly
body.
toxic
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you're not,
Yep.
highly toxic. And it's
Yep.
something that, that I think it's important, and we talk about that. It might be
Mhm.
a little embarrassing for
Yep.
some people, not me. I mean, if it's part of
Right.
the body, it's part of the
Exactly.
body.
Right.
It's something that if you don't talk about it, that's when you get sick, and that's when everything starts breaking down.
Mhm.
Are there any other myths? We've only got a couple more minutes.
Oh,
Do you want to
okay.
say anything about Elite as far as like some of the boot camps and stuff you
Oh
got
yeah,
going
well
on out
it's
there?
funny. Yeah, we got some boot camps for those that like to get up in the morning, which is it's a great thing. I mean, I highly recommend early morning workouts. You think about it in this busy world. You have cell phones, and your cell phone's not going off at 6 in the morning.
Right.
Everybody else is sleeping. And you're getting a jump start. You get it done. So now whatever your day brings, you go back to your workplace, and you might have a staff meeting that wasn't on your schedule at the time, unannounced. We're now okay. Now you're calling the gym. You got hey, you had a personal training session. You have to cancel because things come up. You're in the morning, and the first thing in the morning, there's nothing to cancel because everybody else is sleeping.
You
Great.
just said something, and I might, I'm going to throw you a curveball here because this is not preempted. But if a company is watching this and they would like to have you come to their business and talk to their staff, talk to their employees, maybe they have a little bit of gym equipment in their business. Is that something that they could contact you? How do they contact
Absolutely.
you, Mike?
You can contact the phone number here is 727-785-4655. That's the phone number there at the studio. Mike at Elite Body, personaltraining.com is the email address. You look up the website as well. It is all kinds of. We have a whole schedule there as far as classes. But what you're talking about, Gloria, as far as I actually go to one place. He's a client of mine, and they have a gym that I helped design for him at the corporation building, which is a great fringe benefit for those people. And I come in and I do a class, and these are the people, the accountants and all that are in the office that come down. There's a locker room, so they got showers there, TV lounge, and they come in, they'll change out, get that workout, get back, and now they got that second half of the day. They got like a recharge, and then it just flies for them, which is great. It gets that especially the morning ones that we're talking about, the morning workouts. It gets that energy, that engine running, and you continue to run through, and it stays with you the whole day. If you're sitting at a desk job, you go the first 4 hours, you get up, you work out, and in that next 4 hours, it's a nice break to have as well too. A lot of people are doing it, and also they're looking for productivity of their employees, calling in sick less.
Right.
Because they're feeling better, they're more productive. By 3 o'clock, everybody crashes. They don't know how to eat, and they're just dying. You just can't wait to get home, so the productivity goes down, and that work keeps piling up, and it's affecting the company as well. And that's why these companies are doing this now.
Right. Okay, we're about out of time. Okay. So Mike is going to be back every month at the start of every month, and we're always very open to any questions that you may have. If you can't remember how to contact Mike for any reason, you can always write me, and I will pass the questions on to Mike. I'll forward them over. Otherwise, you can reach him again. What's your telephone number?
727-785-4655.
Okay, great. And then again, check them out. You can Facebook them as well. Make sure you like them and tell them that you heard about them on Talking with Gloria. Next week, we've got Vitalize Me coming into the studio. Boy, I'm going to love that. Ladies, you're going to love that because we're going to be talking about skin and the benefits of keeping the skin healthy. And I'm real excited about that because I get to check that out tomorrow. Right. So I want to thank you, Mike, for being in the studio.
She's also a client at Elite, and she trains hard, which is nice.
Great. I mean, it just seems like I've met so many people since being at Elite. It's been great networking. So, and I'm going to be bringing it to you, so you can thank Mike for that. Anyway, so make sure that you check me out, too, at talkingwithgloria.com. And if you haven't joined me for a Tapping Your Inner Power, you want to make sure that you do so. I've got one coming up April 20th on Saturday at 11 o'clock, and then we'll have another one in May, actually, at your studio at Elite Body. You'll be able to take a grand tour of the place too afterwards.
Yes, absolutely.
So write me if you got any questions, and we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us. You've been talking with Gloria and Mike LaBua. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're not getting a cue, so I'm going to assume.